Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends. Welcome back to Talking Town. It's called the summer season, so we're going to run through a range of topics, all to do, mostly to do with our beloved Ipswich Town. But welcome one, welcome all. Thank you for joining me, whether you're live or on catch up. If you're watching live, please do, of course, get active in our live chat, as many of you are already doing so. If you're watching on catch up, leave a comment. We've had so many comments over the last couple of shows, and I promise you I will try and get to as many, if not all of them, as I possibly can and reply to you all. Thank you for your messages of support. And I've not been here since I've been on Sky Sports. My mum had to go into hospital, so I've been up and down to the Norwich and Norfolk and just supporting her where I can. But thank you all for your comments. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you for your support. And of course, thank you to the two gentlemen, Matt and Rich, who held the fort down so wonderfully well in my absence. But I'm back. And if you like the fact I'm back, hit that like button. And if you're brand new here and haven't yet done so, 45%, I think, from memory, of our viewers are yet to subscribe to Talking Town. Why not? If you're watching, you're clearly liking, so hit that subscribe button. Good afternoon, Harps. Hope you're well. Phil Blundell's in the chat. Welcome in, Phil. Stephen Parry, Sean, who is one of our big winners this year on Match Bingo. Actually, as Sean's just made a comment, I will jump straight into our partnership with Match Bingo. Play Match Bingo, win cash prizes, as Sean has done this year, because Sean has obviously mastered the art of the bingo. There's no football, as we all know. There's Euros coming up, and I'm sure there'll probably be Euro games on Match Bingo's platform. But there are, of course, cricket. There's darts that I saw on there a couple of weeks ago. So there's a manner of different sporting events that you can do. And by playing Match Bingo, you not only indulge in your passion for sport, but you can also contribute to the crucial work of the East Anglian Arabs. I'm sure you'll agree is fantastic work. How you download is on your screen now. If you're listening on one of our audio platforms, I will run through it for you. Don't forget, leave that 5-star review. You can register online, download the Match Bingo app, and then choose your matches. £2 a bingo card. There are sometimes some free ones on there as well. And as I mentioned, Sean has won a fairly decent amount of money, he tells me, this year. So well done, Sean. But don't forget, over 18s only, be gamble aware. Welcome in, AD. I hope you're well. Stephen says, window open on Friday. Interesting one ahead. Absolutely. And Sean, welcome in, Sean. New name. Not seen your name before. Welcome, Sean. Plenty of clubs need to trim squads for the FFP. Norman's recovering from eye surgery. He's stuck in bed. Norman, hope you're doing well. Hope it went fantastically well for you. Been looking forward to Talking Town all weekend and listening to all the transfer rumours. Well, welcome in, Norman. I'm glad you've joined us. Lots of you in the chat. Love to see. Lee says, which goalkeeper, realistically, I'm going to star that. I'm going to star that message, Sean, Lee, sorry, and I'll come back to it as we run through the show. But joining me this afternoon is not Richard Moss. It is, of course, Matthew Phillips. Where is Rich, actually? I've
refereeing. He's refereeing.
He's losing control of more matches. Fair enough.
He's been doing weekends of refereeing. So, yeah. Hopefully he's got them cards and he keeps them cards in his pocket. Although he has lost them before, hasn't he? Fell out in the centre circle, do you remember?
Yeah. The only referee I know that can referee and kids tournaments and probably get a chance of you don't know what you're doing, if I'm honest. So if you do see Rich refereeing, don't forget to give him a good. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. But you're here, so I'm really pleased about. How are you?
Good, thanks. I've
Are you trying to infringe on my copyright here with that hairstyle?
Yeah, you're my role model. Yeah,
I just noticed.
I haven't got the beard. I've been down the garden centre this morning. We went down for a cup of tea, bacon roll in the garden centre. It was all good. Now I went for brown sauce. I'm trying to guess what you'd have. Red, brown, or no sauce at all. It's like Danny Baker is.
Can't stand brown sauce. Funnily enough, this morning I took my mum down to the Ipswich Hospital to have some stitches removed. And I took her for breakfast. I say I took her for breakfast. I drove and she paid. But we went for breakfast down a cafe near Martella Tower in Felixstowe. Okay. And I had a full English minus the beans. I didn't know you could have a full English minus the beans. This is the only place, Matt, right? This is how weird it was. No beans, but black pudding. I love black pudding, but normally you get beans and no black pudding. Here was black pudding and no beans. Blew my mind.
It's only recently I found out that HP Sauce was Houses of Parliament. I never even took that much notice to it.
Hence the picture of Houses of Parliament on the bottle. Yeah. Clearly you've not got your sources, well and truly lined up. But I'm a bit of a Neanderthal. I'm going to be honest, because I am a ketchup, mayo. Let's mix that bad boy up.
Oh my God!
Mix it up. Create your own little sauce. Let's get going.
Yeah, I just went for brown. But yeah, I've not heard of anyone doing that. That's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. It's called class. Some people are yet to achieve that class. I'm not quite sure what class
You've got a lot of opinions on full English, but we'll wait for the Talking Town, Talking Breakfast shows for that.
They're coming. AD says ketchup. Phil says barbecue. Love a bit of barbecue sauce.
Yeah, me too.
It's underrated, that.
I would only have that at McDonald's, though, most likely. On the rare times I would go to McDonald's. That seems like a fast food thing to me, barbecue.
Speaking of which, I've seen their advert recently. Have you ever had a fish fillet? Has anyone ever had a fish fillet from McDonald's? Like, is that one of the rarest? Like, it was on their advert, and I was like,
is that how you say it? Fillet? Is that? I would say fillet. Is that how you say it?
Well, I told you I was class.
Fillet.
I told you I was class. I told you I was all class.
Yeah, very French.
we got a comment in the chat. This is football chat, by the way. But we are in summer mode. We are on feet up, beer in hand, in the pub. So I hope you're okay enjoying that at home. But Darren says, any more parking tickets, Matt? It's a vital question from our viewers. That.
No, thankfully, and neither was anybody who's been parking around here recently, like the Cruncher. I was worried he might get one, but no, he was good. He was good. I'm all right.
Moving on, obviously you were at the cricket, but England did play Friday, last international friendly before the European Championships. As always with England, it went swimmingly well.
Yeah.
It went tremendously well. We are having a birthday show on Tuesday, because it's our birthday here at Talking Town. 4 years old on Tuesday, Matt. Where we'll also do our
4 years old. Might last 4 weeks, apparently. That's what we got.
4 years old. We're going to do our European sweepstake on Tuesday. So if you are in that, do join us on Tuesday. And we're also, as it's a birthday, I've got some various things lined up. One of the things I want to do is an Ask Us Sort of Anything segment. Now, be reasonable, be respectful with the questions, because if they're stupid, I will leave them out, frankly. But we are after questions. If you ever wanted to ask us a question about how we do it, what we do, anything at all, within reason, be respectful, as I said, get them in. I will put a comment on our community page on YouTube, which you can reply to. If you're in our Discord, of course, I will create a Discord forum tab. But I think that'd be quite fun, Matt, and ask us sort of anything, Q&A.
Depends what it is first, yeah. I tell you what, on the Discord, Mike D was posting lockdown shows on there yesterday. Our hair. Honestly, that was one of the greatest times of my life when I had my hair cut after lockdown.
Do you know, I look back at those and I think, how on earth did my wife ever find me attractive? I looked terrible. I looked proper rough. I'm not going to lie.
We was all going through hardships, but there we were broadcasting to the 20 that tuned in for the first show, including Nick Mustard Muller. Shout out.
Oh, he loves that mustard, doesn't he? He loves it. I love it as well. He made it a thing. So I absolutely love it. Nick, you need to get some merchandise with it now. Get your face with a little bottle of mustard on a t-shirt, and then you get those bad boys flying out the door.
Instead of it saying Coleman's, you could have Muller's, couldn't you?
Muller's. Yeah, and
mustard.
on the back it could say East Anglia's always blue and white, never green and yellow.
Look at this. Take this as for nothing, Nick.
Take it for nothing, but give me 10% of any sales you make. Adrian says, does everyone know where Picture of McKenna on Tractor is? I'd like to have a tattoo if they agree. Oh, that would be Glory Days artwork, I think. Adrian, go to your Google machine.
It is.
Rich has got it on a mug.
Has he got it on a mug or something? He's got something.
That should work. That should work. But in terms of England, Matt, early prediction. Where do you think, realistically, when all said and done, England are going to do in the European Championships?
If you speak, I mean, look, if you read anything in the media, like everyone still thinks we're favourites. Certainly, I was reading something Graham Souness said. I still see England as being favourites for the Euros, which is a big shout when you consider we've not actually won a tournament on away from Wembley Stadium. But look, we've got all the talent there, haven't we? Look, Grealish isn't going, but we've got all this young.
Big shout.
We've got, it is absolutely. But we've got all this young attacking talent. Even like Adam Wharton's been given the nod. He was only playing for Blackburn Rovers not so long ago, wasn't he? Has been given the nod.
Fisherman says England struggled to get out of the group stage, Matt.
Okay, well, the proof will soon be in the pudding, Mike, because we'll find out. I would say England won't struggle to get out. That's my take, but if Mike thinks that, certainly losing to Iceland at Wembley Stadium in front of a packed house, whatever it is, isn't the best preparation. I would certainly agree with that. Is there a question mark over Southgate being quite conservative, given the pool of talent that he's got to play with? Potentially. But we'll see. I mean, look, the rumour is that the FA are desperate to keep hold of Southgate. He keeps getting links with Manchester United, but they want to keep him beyond Germany. So we'll just have to, the Germany Euros, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But look, he's a nice guy, Gareth, and he's taken us to a final that last Euros against Italy. So
yeah, should have won it.
I mean, look, he's done all right, albeit I would agree. I don't think he plays particularly exciting football. I always used to think Arsene Wenger would be a good England manager, given the amount of time he spent here in his country as Arsenal boss. You know, the attacking football, the youth coming through. I mean, that would have been that would have synced quite nicely for me, but
he's too busy now, isn't he? Tinkering with rules, making things better or worse, whichever opinion. Yeah, whichever opinion you land on it, the offsides, the things like that. But yeah, possibly. So I mean, it might be something in the name Mike, to be fair, because Mike Baker says ain't going to win SHIT with Southgate in charge. So maybe if you're called Mike, you just naturally don't like someone called Gareth. Well, I don't know. That's his.
I thought that's a little harsh, considering he did get us to the final of the last Euros. I mean, let's not forget that. But you just don't know. Look, tournament football's funny, wasn't it? Look at the World Cup. We were going great guns in that until we came across France, and then I think it was France. And then we got beaten, didn't we? So, I mean, it's just the nature of knockout football. Once you get through the groups.
It wasn't so long ago. People would have, now they'll say they didn't, but people generally looked at someone like Sam Allardyce as an ideal tournament manager, because in a tournament, the idea is not to lose. Because if you don't, look at Greece, right? They won a European Championship from memory, simply drawing 99% of the games they played in.
Set piece goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking things to extra time, penalties, etc. I mean, it was some years ago now, but I'd have to go back and look at the results. But that's why people
2004 or something, was it?
Was it Christias was their striker? Or?
It was the manager was German, wasn't he? Otto Regal, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, look, they didn't play very good football, but it was functional. It was a bit McCarthy style, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's why people viewed Allardyce. But back to sort of domestic football. Ipswich Town, officially now, ladies and gentlemen, a Premier League side. They have been issued their £1 share, which seems very archaic now in terms of how things are done. You know, here's your £1 share and whatnot. But the share has been issued, the certificate has been given, the signatures have been dried, and Town are a Premier League side. And of course, the first piece of business has to be, when you're a Premier League team, those three little words, VAR. And Wolves' claim to bin it fell short, well short by the look of it.
They were the only ones that voted to get rid of it. Is that well short it go? Yeah.
Which means we also voted to keep it.
We keep it, yeah.
I mean, look,
it's a funny one, isn't it? The game is divided about this. I don't think Ipswich fans realise what the delay is going to be like until we are actually in Portman Road. This is the issue. I mean, our lean years are offset against the fact that VAR came through. So we've not been anywhere near it. But I think you're going to find how frustrating it is, and the game is divided because the clubs want to. Well, certainly the top. Well, what was it? 19-1, wasn't it? 19 clubs other than Wolves wanted to keep it. Why do they want to keep it? Because they've benefited more out of it than not. Because they want there's so much money at stake that they want the correct decisions 100% of the time, and the technology supposedly does that. So the clubs just want good decisions, taking the entertainment factor out of it. Then you look at someone like the Football Supporters Association. Malcolm Clark came and said, our information shows that 2/3 of football fans attending Premier League football don't like it, want it gone. So I think with the 19-1 vote comes a few little caveats in that. Certainly all the clubs want to see an improvement in refereeing. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. I mean, we've been saying this all along, haven't it? While we've been in League One and through the Championship, and I don't think the standard of refereeing was particularly different between the two, i.e. crap. And you only have to listen to the phone-ins on 606 and the like, where everyone's still moaning about referees. It's a tough job, isn't it? But for whatever reason, it proves troublesome. VAR helps them. The clubs
make it tough for themselves.
I think so. I think so.
Like that fourth official, right? What's he do? Like a corners. What's he doing?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much more of a role that the fourth official could play, given that they've got a different view to everybody else on the sidelines. They've got the manager's view, basically. I mean, why they don't utilise that a little bit more, don't know. You have to remember all of this stuff has to go through IFAB, of course, for laws of the game changes, etc., etc. So you've got that, and they also want to make sure that the entertainment factor, which the FSA, the Football Sports Association, are name checking, the entertainment factor is keeping fans' attention, and the decisions aren't taking such a long time. We'll soon find out on that first day of the season at Portman Road or whenever it's going to be.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Yeah. I'm surprised Forest didn't.
Well, I was just going to say, and another one to throw in the mix, a discussion this week was they feel like players are getting injured more due to the stop-start nature of VAR decisions. Certainly that Spurs-Chelsea game was name-checked this week by a few people in the media as, you know, I think Spurs was having quite a good season. That game went on for about 2 hours, you might recall. And I think there was like 11 minutes of stoppages just in the first half off the back of VAR. And the soft tissue injury seems to due to the stop-start nature, soft tissue injuries seems to have played a part. That was another thing that was in a discussion point this week. But...
See, I view it differently. I think the number of games players play, I always view players as like cars, and you think about miles on a tyre. I think about games of minutes on a player. Like Harry Kane, for example, playing against Iceland. He's had a whole season of playing football. You know what Harry Kane can do. Why do you need to put tread on that tyre and give him 90 more minutes than he needed against Iceland? Like, because what are you learning through that? And there's so many different games and meaningless fixtures, if I'm honest, that players play in. That is, for my money, probably the contributing factor. And at some point, I mean, like in the NFL, for example, the owners want to go to like 18, 19 games a year. But the Players Association, the union, are saying, well, our players aren't doing that. We aren't allowing our players to play more games and risk more injury.
They've already raised it by one, haven't they? It used to be a 16-game season, didn't it?
Now but they lost a pre-season game. Whereas in football, I always feel, at what point of the Players Association, the union of players, going to stand? We're not playing these meaningless games. We're not playing this friendly Newcastle-Tottenham end of the season in Australia. Like they're the minutes. They're the minutes for me. That not the stop-start nature, as it were. I'm sure it doesn't help. But I'm just surprised Forest didn't go for trying to bin it, because they've been moaning about it all season long. I know. And when it comes to the crunch, they shoved Wolves to the front. they said,
"You do it."
Actually, yeah, you're on your own.
You used to go and use out with your mates and your little kids, and used to say, "I'll knock if you talk." It's like that. I'm not in the Forest pushing Wolves to the forefront.
Then they knock. You turn around, everyone's scarpered. Everyone's scarpered around the corner.
Yeah, you knock on the door, and everyone's legged it. Yeah, absolutely. I do get what you're saying. I do get what. Well, I was going to say, I do get what you're saying about Kane, but I suppose the thinking behind that is that if you give him some game time, then you've got momentum going into the tournament. But I get what you're saying as well. I mean, bloody hell, what else do you need to know about Harry Kane, right? Exactly.
A lot of them, to be brutally honest. That's just not England fixtures. I think that's a lot of international fixtures. For me, these days are just meaningless wastes of time. Mike Baker says, waiting to celebrate a goal going to be interesting. Which I think is very true. So Charlie said, when VAR goes for you, it's great, but when it goes against you, it's the worst invention ever.
Well, this is what I was thinking, right? To go back to our great moment, the Sarmiento goal against Southampton, where we're all going absolutely nuts, to only have that then taken away from you by millimeters on the camera. I mean, that is going to happen.
Yeah.
So we're going to be in a completely different mindset, and I'm pretty certain if it happens on a Saturday and we're sat here on the Sunday lunchtime, everyone's going to be pissed off by it. Quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Paul. I think Paul's more spot on with it. The tech is fine. It's the interpretation that's the problem. I think it is the way they look at things. And what they look at, etc., etc. But that is staying, ladies and gentlemen. So, Town Premier League Club officially with the shares, but the VAR is definitely here to stay. Which you have to get used to it. You've got to roll with it. I'm going to celebrate like I did last year. And if they overturn it, I'll sit back down and go, oh, well, that made me look stupid, didn't it?
I wonder where our little pitch side screen's going to be.
By the dugout, surely.
In the middle of, near the dugouts, I would say.
See, that's what I don't understand.
Little touches, right?
But yeah, before we move on, I don't understand why they have to have the referee go to the screen, because if it's being looked at by a team of referees who have all passed the referee credentials, surely it's enough for them to say, hold up, Barry, we've looked at it, all three of us here in the studio with our feet up, cup of tea, and all three of us, or two out of the three of us, think it's a foul. We think you should award a foul. Surely as a referee to referee, you go, well, I trust that judgment. I don't need to see it to say, oh, well, if I'd seen it as well, I agree. What waste of time? Get on with it, Barry. Blow the whistle, points to the spot. Come on.
Maybe that would be one of the things that comes out of the process of trying to speed it all up. But perhaps they're just palming it off to your mate Barry here. Go and have a look.
Poor
at the
Barry.
screen, Barry. Go and have a gander.
Yeah. It's just they just want to chat. That's what it is. They just want to chat. It's like sometimes the banker in Deal or No Deal. I'm sure of it. It's just what we do.
I used to like that. I used to like Deal or No Deal with Noel Edmonds.
It's back on, with old Stephen Mulhern.
Yeah, I don't like him. He annoys me.
Oh, I like him. I think he's all right. Oh yeah, I think he's quite funny.
He's a bit. Butlins holiday camp cabaret for me.
Nothing wrong with Butlins, mate.
And he's a magician. Irritating.
Just because you're more Havens or Pontins, all right? There's nothing wrong with Butlins, believe me, all right? I've
I've never been to either. I should.
Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. All right, moving on to the retention list. That also came out shortly after last week's show. We'll start with how they've done it in terms of the announcements. We'll start with the released players. That was obviously Dominic Ball, Pantouche Kamara, Nick Hayes, and Kaden Jackson. I want to leave Big KJ till last. Dom Ball, Pantouche Kamara, Nick Hayes. No surprises, I'm going to guess from you that those three have been released, and sort of your thoughts on the three.
No, not surprised. Dom Ball, I think, was a good signing when we got him in League One. Certainly ticked boxes for the middle of the park, didn't he? Brought that championship experience with him. Could play in midfield, could play in defence. So yeah, he was a really good signing. Unfortunately, Martin, what does it come down to? The old ability and availability that you like to talk about. I think it was that Bracknell game where he got injured, and then I think maybe the Charlton 4-4 he broke down in that. Maybe I've got that round the wrong way, either or. But certainly around that period of time, his career with us just seemed to sort of nosedive after that. And what was it? That one appearance last season as a start, anyway. He had a few from the bench, didn't he? But as a start, I think it was that QPR game when we were pretty much down to bare bones. Do you remember? That's when Cameron Humphreys played left back, and that was a game we all thought we were going to kind of steamroll him a little bit. Maybe old what's his name, Cifuentes, the manager. That was one of his first games in charge there, and we saw what a good job he did at QPR in the end. You know, if the season had started when he arrived, I think they'd had quite a good season. So we probably underestimated QPR. It was 0-0. Ball didn't really shine in that game particularly. I don't think anybody did. But yeah, he was a good signing on paper, I think. But injuries and other players playing really well kind of kept him on the sidelines, really. But seemed a good guy, didn't he? And he'd done a lot of work for the Sarcoma Heart Charity.
Yeah.
Really nice. So yeah, obviously a really good character. Again, it comes down to characters in the group, doesn't it? That McKenna likes to talk about. Certainly, he was someone that obviously researched and thought he would be a good signing. And I think on paper he was. Just you didn't really see it on the pitch.
No, and every time we saw him, for me, he just looked a little bit levels below Morsi and Luongo. Didn't look like he'd be pushing them for a position. But no, great character. Obviously does a lot of charity work, as you mentioned. And sadly, with Pantouche, he arrived injured.
Signing that. We said that at the time, didn't we?
Yeah, and when he went out on loan, I did say in the group chat, didn't I? You will not see this player in a town shirt.
Yeah, you're right.
And sadly, I've been proved right, because now he's he's been released £500,000 later, as I think the transfer fee was, and that's football, right? And that's this is now when you start to feel like a bit of a big player in the game, because 10 years ago, had we spent that on a player and he'd walked around a free, you'd be really disappointed and what a waste of money. Whereas now you're a Premier League side and you're looking at Amari Hudson at 30 million, for example, and you're thinking, we could probably afford that. Suddenly, £500,000 on a player that's not actually played many minutes for Town doesn't seem as awful.
No, that was an odd signing, and I'd kind of file that in the Gassam had me file as well. They were just odd signings. Panic? Yeah, it had me seem to be signed off the back of that Burton Albion game, of which Rich and Colin both were raving about him. You might recall. And then like you say, Kamara. I can't remember how to say his name. Kamara.
I've probably said his name all wrong. You know, I'm like with pronunciation.
Pan Kamara. Signed injured. But obviously he'd been fast-tracked out in a non-league game, hadn't he? I think he'd been at something like Dulwich and Hamlet, or one of those kind of double-barreled non-league sides, Havant, Waterlooville, someone of that nature. I think it was Dulwich, to Plymouth. And obviously he'd been very instrumental in that kind of, I think, Ryan Lowe / Schumacher era of Plymouth. And of course, at the time, their transfer protocol was that if you didn't sign a new contract with them, you went onto the transfer list. And that's how we kind of ended up with him. Again, really good signing on paper, but why sign him injured and then pretty much needed a knob straight away or something, didn't he? And again, we only really saw him in that Bracknell game, and maybe that cameo appearance where I think he hits the bar against Lincoln when we threw the kitchen sink at him. Do you remember when we lost 1-0?
Yeah.
So again, a good signing. They obviously liked him because they paid a significant fee for him when you're in League One. Like you say, $500,000 probably raised into $750,000 if you put on the add-ons. So to wipe that away is disappointing. Look, they've done it with Raheem Harper as well, haven't they?
But less so now you're Premier League side, right? Because you've got the
Yeah,
money
yeah,
and
no, I
you
get
don't feel it as much.
Yeah,
Under
exactly.
Evans, we'd all
Yeah.
been crying under Evans. Let's be honest. We'd all been absolutely in tears at that money being sort of wasted, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Would have been a real waste of money. But yeah, now we're kind of like in a different ballpark a little bit. Then you can kind of like just sort of gloss over it a bit. But look, we've signed so many players, haven't we? Be it that Cook era, certainly the 19 signings, then going into the McKenna one and the game changer era. That not everyone's going to work out, and you know, good on paper, but again, just didn't seem on the pitch, did we? And then he obviously gets palmed off to Charlton.
No. Loans expired. Amari Hutchinson, Kiefer Moore, Jeremy Samienso, Lewis Travis, and Brandon Williams. We've gone through most of those in the last couple of weeks. If you've not watched the shows for the last couple of weeks, do jump back and get the thoughts of the lads on those players. Options taken on Burgess, Idris El Muzani, Axel Twanzabi, and Christian Warren. I want to touch on Idris and Christian before we go to KJ. In talks, obviously, you're still a Ladkey, but have those two players been extended to sell, do you feel, with Idris and Christian?
Yeah, 100%. I think that.
Okay.
We've got in our boxing gym, we've got a couple of Orient fans, and they love Idris there. They think he's brilliant, Elmis. They keep saying to him, how much is he going to cost? How much will he cost? And of course, I think he was their captain. So lone player is their skipper as well. So they've given him the captain's armband there, and he plays in the middle of the park, probably kind of like a Morsey Luongo role himself now. Never really knew where he was at Pullman Road, did we? He used to get stuck on the right with Dobra. Was he a 10? We didn't really know, but he seems to have found a home there. But obviously his season finished a little bit early, I think, with a knee injury, maybe. But certainly, I think that's been extended in order to sell him. Look, it's just playing hard. This is Ashton playing hardball a little bit. It'd be very easy for them to say, look, he's out of contract. Orient, go and negotiate a deal with him and go off and have a good career. But you know, Ipswich also showing a little bit of hardball here as well, right? Obviously, he's impressed at League One level, which is what obviously Orient were in last season. Therefore, we extend his contract. Who wants him? Pay us a fee. I suppose you've got to claw the Kamara fee back, right? That's one way of doing it, I suppose. Well, I mean, look, what money would you get for him realistically? A low six-figure fee, 100 grand maybe. But look, he's always been linked to teams like Derby have obviously come up, and Watford have been linked with him previously. So maybe there's more interest behind the scenes than what the club have actually let on. But certainly Orient are desperate to get him. And obviously, you know, go. I mean, if I was him, I'd go there. Go where you're loved, right? He didn't get any game time with us particularly, and he's a real fan favourite at Brisbane Road. Yeah,
but if Watford do want you, they're obviously a bigger side, and you want to try and test yourself with that, because there'll be a team that are ambitious in terms of wanting to be a top 10 side. You know, maybe
a little bit more concrete stability there. Now they got Cleverley in. Will actually?
Well, I wouldn't say that about Watford ever. If I'm honest, like
it's risky to say that, isn't it? But
yeah, because we all know Cleverley's only there till October. Let's be honest.
That long?
Well, to be fair, they did give the previous manager a contract extension in October when they normally
Valerian.
Yeah. But Paul P says, it's been done to protect their value. Texas Tractor Boy, welcome in Texas, says, thoughts on goalkeeper. Let Haladki, let Haladki go. Are you a Cowboys fan? Or
probably a Cowboys fan like me.
Or a
Texas Tractor Boy, a Cowboys fan.
Or a Texans. It depends who it is. Let us know.
Or maybe he likes DIY. That used to be a DIY place, didn't it, Texas? They get swallowed up by being kill someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And let Ladkey go. Not Premier League goalie, ever 30, never will be. Always thought Walton could develop into Premier League goalkeeper. Well, Walton has been extended, and talks are ongoing with Haladki. And Lee says, which goalkeeper realistically would like to see join Ipswich? Would you? I know last week you spoke about transfer targets, but if you had,
my choice. Yeah,
Bentley was your choice. We've got one coming up shortly, haven't we? I think a transfer link in terms of the goalkeeper. Does the transfer link with the goalkeeper, which we'll talk about in a second, does that indicate to you that Walton has been extended to sell, and Haladki, whether he stays or isn't, is going to be competing with somebody coming in? Yeah,
absolutely. It feels like, well, I mean, if you're Haladki, I think if you're Haladki and Haladki's agent, and you've just been part of a side that's got promoted into the Premier League, albeit probably in the twilight of your career a little bit. I mean, what is Haladki? 34, 35? Look, keepers do go on a little bit later, don't they?
He's not that old. Not that that's old, by the way, because that's my age.
Yeah.
Quickly, but he is. It's old in terms of football. He's 33, so he's not old. Spring chicken.
Okay, not spring chicken. Yeah, listen, I said last week I would be keeping him. I thought he had a fantastic season with us, but it's certainly going to be space for another keeper because I think I agree with everyone else. I think Walton will go. There's no way Walton's getting back into the Ipswich team. He can't play the style that has given us the success from the Championship to the Premier League. And look, he got away with it in League One a little bit because I used to call him two touch, didn't I? He does not have the he does not, which is a bit flippant of me, really, but so it's an entertainment show. But certainly, I think Hladky, what he maybe Walton gave you in more shot stopping, although Hladky made some great saves last season. The speed of distribution, you saw it fantastically. We've said it a million times. The Cruyff turn on the byline against Hull that leads to go in the 3-0 win over them.
Was good, wasn't it? Was.
Yeah, I mean, those elements, look, Walton couldn't do that. And I think that style of play is going to be paramount when we kick off in the Premier League. So it's going to have to be someone of that mould. Now, whether Hladky is going to be number one or sits number two, we still don't know. The proof will be in the pudding when we see who we actually sign. Whether Hladky thinks he can just be a number one somewhere else. He's always been linked to Celtic. We know Joe Hart's leaving now, so maybe he would go there. They've been linked.
What MK says.
They've been linked to Kelleher from Liverpool. I know that was Rich's choice in the Transfer Target show. Big shout out to everyone watching that for us last week. About nearly 6,000 people watched that. I was obviously bored that Sunday lunchtime.
Phenomenal. No, they want to see what the boys think. They want to be entertained and talk about their football club.
Absolutely. But look,
MK's with you, by the way, Matt. Sorry to cut across you, just for a sort of back up your point there. MK says, I think for him, if we're signing a number one, I'd go back and see if Celtic was still interested. 4 seasons left, guaranteed trophies and European football. And of course, with playing for Celtic, you would expect international football to follow that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, everyone jokingly calls it a farmers league because, Rangers and Celtic have shared the title in the last 40 years. Aberdeen, Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen was the last time someone non-old firm won that division. So, it's just those two clubs. Fabrizio Romano seems to think Kelleher's going to, from Liverpool, which was Rich's choice for us, is probably going to go to Celtic because of the pull of European football, most likely. And he's sat on the bench for God knows how long at Liverpool. And quite a big fee as well, I think. I mean, you're talking double-digit millions, 10 million.
Well, you normally are. Yeah, you normally are. Well, what was Trafford last year? 18, was it? Was it more than that?
He's been linked to Newcastle for 16, I think. Newcastle, wants him at Newcastle. So, look, again, when we're talking about, VAR being a new world for us, our 4.5 million for Sereni is going to be pocket change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sonny Aluko, has retired, so we've always covered that. But all the best in retirement, Shawnee. And obviously, last name on the list, other than returning for pre-season, was Janoy Donashian, but the last name released had an interview with the football club that's come out just in the last week. Is of course Kaden Jackson. On a personal level, it's very sad to see Kaden Jackson released. I've been a big supporter of KJ over the last couple of years. I think he'll give you everything on the football field. He's a great character off the football field. And clearly from the interviews and things you see about him, a really good man and person. And this is the business side of the fairy tale where I really would have liked personally to have seen Kaden Jackson having been part of the bomb squad, having been brought in and been relegated under Hurst, having lived through Lambert, bomb squad under Cook, fought tooth and nail to stay at this football club, which we all love as fans, but he has fought tooth and nail to stay here. I'd have loved to have seen him play 1 minute, just one, as a Premier League player for this football club. But this is the other side of the fairy tale, Matt. This is the business side where emotions are taken out and hard conversations are had, and Caden's been released. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with Kaden because he's obviously with us at, our lowest ebbs, the lean times of, getting relegated into League One. That he joined the club at a funny time as well, didn't he? When Hurst comes in, and you could see what Hurst's strategy was, wasn't it? Take good performing League One players, League Two players, and put them in together as part of this unit that could maybe perform in the Championship. But it obviously didn't work out. I really wanted him to be gone a few years ago, really. I didn't really want anyone who was around the relegated side being part of that process that tries to bounce back in from League One back into the Championship. Just because, you've been part of failure, really. No reflection on him as a person. You know, you watch some of these interviews he's done. Sounds like a fantastic person. You can see why Kieran McKenna really liked him and put faith into him. But you're right. I mean, look, he could easily have been sold. He could easily have been loaned out. He could easily have had his contract cancelled and found himself on the scrap heap or looking for a new club at any point, really, after the relegation to League One. So he's done really well to carve out a career. I'd be annoyed with him. I'd be annoyed if I was him to finish on 199 appearances. You'd want the round 200, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I just would have loved to have seen him play 60 seconds, 2 minutes of a Premier League game. Have him,
I know what you mean. And I
think Sky would have got hold of that story as well, because it's such a great story in terms of where you've been, where you've gone to.
The goal. Do you know what the goal I always think back to of his? Well, obviously that one up at Sheffield Wednesday, at Hillsborough the other season. I thought that was a really good finish. People used to say he couldn't finish. He scored a header, I think, against Brentford in the relegation season. Glances one in down at the North Stand end. I thought that was a very good goal.
Yeah.
It was asking a lot, wasn't what her strategy really was asking a lot, really, I think, out of those players.
He didn't have a strategy. Stop saying he had one. He didn't have a strategy. Stop saying he did, because he didn't.
Well, he did mine, because the transfer business shows you that he was trying to get people to step Yeah, well, it's a bit like Jim Magilton's actually. If you think back when he said, "Look, we're going to look in the lower leagues and get young, hungry players and bring them up into the Championship," it was similar to that. But of course, he had the team. Not that I'm on, riding the Paul Hurst wave here particularly. But
I thought you were. This is why I brought up you didn't have one. I thought I'd better counteract it, because there'll be many people like me at home that they're never a fan of Mr. Hurst. Or wish him all the best in his management career, but not a fan.
He's just signed Enciala again at Shrewsbury, isn't he?
He has. Yeah.
Why?
A bit like me, because if you ever play Football Manager, you always sign the players you know that you're going to do your job. So
this is the real world.
It's like football. It's the same, though, isn't it? It's players you can trust. Players that set a culture and standard at a football club.
He was terrible. I mean, lovely fella.
He wasn't as
lovely fella by all accounts, but terrible player.
He wasn't that
Don't get me started on this. Don't get me started. Well, look, we're trying to give big up Kaden here. He brought some good attributes. I think he had this pace. He could play wide. He could play in the middle. He'd play where you want. He was like a sort of striking utility man, wasn't he? And you could see why McKenna kept him around. Yeah, you could certainly see why McKenna kept him around. And as everyone says, trusting Kieran McKenna, and he liked him, but also you see the ruthless side of McKenna. It'd be quite easy maybe to have kept him around just for nostalgia purposes. But this is the game we're in. We're now in the Premier League, and he said, "Thanks, Kaden, but you'd have to find another club for yourself." I forgot that when me and Rich was sort of discussing where he could end up, we always seem to palm everyone off to Oxford at the moment, don't we? Oh, he could do a job for Oxford.
Send him to Oxford.
Yeah. Rich also said Wrexham, of course, where he's actually already done about 40 appearances earlier in his career when they were National League. So he'll do as Rich said, he'll do a very good job for somebody, lower end Championship, top end League One. Even if he dropped down into top end League Two side, he'd look fantastic. He's still only 30, so he's still got 2, 3, 4 seasons ahead of him with the pace that he brings. Absolutely.
I don't know in terms of his family arrangement. I know his closest family are obviously here in Suffolk, but obviously he was born in Bradford, I believe. And I just wonder if there'll be a link to Huddersfield again, whether Huddersfield will be interested, whether he'll be interested in a move back to the Yorkshire area in terms of clubs there. Interesting to see where he does end up, because I always be a big fan of KJ. And my favourite moment of KJ is probably the cross for the Broadhead goal towards the back end of this season. I think it was Broadhead's goal where he comes on towards the end of the season. He comes on and it's I'm trying to remember it, but it's a cross, and it's a Kaden Jackson cross I'd never seen before. And I just thought that's a wonderful piece of play. I'll try and find it in the archives. Towards the end of the season. It might be. He had to come on for an injury. He had to come on because somebody got injured, and he played one on the right. I think Wes Burns got injured in that game, actually.
That'd be the Sheffield Wednesday one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the game where Wes Burns gets himself injured. It's just a hell of a cross for a player that's not a winger to make a cross like that for a goal. And I just thought it was a really special moment. But I'll go and find it and double check it. But that's probably my current sitting here today outstanding thought.
Yeah, he joined, like we say, he joined the club in transition. You'd lost Waghorn, you'd lost Garner, McGoldrick was gone.
Well, define lost, because you didn't lose them down the back of the sofa, Matt. You sold them. That weren't losing them. That was selling your
exactly
your silverware and bringing in players that you're hoping could one day be antiques.
Mate, McGoldrick maybe, but no one saw the other players leaving, and certainly so close to the window closing as well. So you're always on a bit of a sticky wicket, aren't you? Like when Bent and Coochie left and we got in Sam Park in the Nicky Forster. It's just like the transition just didn't work. And it was the same when Kaden came into the club, unfortunately for him. But look, when you consider what was his starting point into football, I think he won a Facebook competition to be part of like Swindon Supermarine and then goes on to Swindon Town or wherever it was. I mean, look, his starting point to come to Portman Road to make nearly 200 appearances, brilliant. And there you go. Says it there.
Well, MK says Kaden done well for someone who won a contract as a pro with Swindon through a serial competition. I don't know if that's what the competition was, but yeah, no, he's done phenomenally well. Phenomenally well. Lee says KJ will be good at Rotherham or Stockport. Those clubs need experience. He's 30 now, Kaden Jackson. I didn't realise that he was 30. Hasn't aged a day since he arrived, does he? Hasn't aged a day in his face since he arrived, does he? He still looks like a 26-year-old.
Certainly doesn't seem to have lost any pace. I mean,
no,
you know, if he does go into League One, and certainly I think he'll have success with his pace alone.
Yeah, absolutely. A comment in the chat in regards to Marcus Harness. Neil Settlefield has seen an article that said QPR interested in Marcus Harness. Would you, very quickly, 30 seconds or less, would you detain that? If so, how much do you think Marcus would command on the open market?
Not sure. I'm not sure what he would command, but I would certainly, again, some of us, me and Rich, were kind of saying, well, will someone like Marcus Harness make the journey from League One to Championship? And he certainly has done that. I don't know whether or not he'll go into the Premier League. Yeah, I would certainly be looking at a fee for him, maybe. Who knows what, I didn't seem to think El Miz would command the fee, but certainly he's going to, wherever he ends up at. You've got to be sort of looking at sort of low six figures, haven't you, for Harness? I would have thought 300,000, maybe 250 to 300, maybe.
Yeah, Colin says 1 million, maybe.
I can't see that, can you? 1 million? I mean, look, Colin, that's, if you think that, then fair play. But I can't see that being his value.
So does the Fisherman. He says 1 mil. If I was a chief executive, I'd probably be looking 350 to 500 grand.
That seems realistic to me. What the
value is, because he's a good player, got some experience, but stat wise, he's not setting the pulse racing at championship level, is he? Like you're not getting a. Most of his appearances,
there was a lot of appearances off the bench last season, wasn't there, for Marcus?
I like Harness. I think he's.
I used to be one of my first. You'll remember him and the Depot Chaplin was my three. If those three weren't playing, I used to be fuming. This was before Broadhead and everyone. Yeah.
Phil says, wouldn't be surprised if Harness leaves for 500,000. So again, in that ballpark figure. 80 says KJ came over well in the Town TV interview. He did. Go and check it out if you've not seen it. It's a really good watch. Really good. But yeah, so Stephen says, get my money back. Another link, obviously, is Slicker, who's been linked with 2 or 3 clubs in Scotland.
Are these loan moves for him?
On a loan move, yeah, I believe it's in terms of loans. Interesting one, really. So yeah, loan target, because it's according to Phil Hammett, TWTD. Go and check out the website if you want the article. Reporting a loan target of Premier League size Hibernian and Kilmarnock. I'm all for it. I would get him out on loan, get him playing. As a goalkeeper, you need the experience. You need to improve. You don't want to be, no disrespect, a Christian Walton or a Kelleher, where you sat on the bench for most of your career and you struggled for those games. So I would be all for getting him out on loan. But it is an intriguing one when you think about the whole goalkeeping situation, right? Because where is he figuring? Is he number 2? Is he number 1? Like where is he in your pecking order? And do you want him out on loan or not?
Yeah, I don't think he's not really in my pecking order because I don't think he's going to feature. Because I think you're going to have Haladki or one other, or we actually sign 2 keepers with kind of like who are more experienced than him. But he needs to be out playing football, Slicker. The only reason he left Man City to come to Ipswich was to try and play football, because you'd forever, I've chatted to people before who've been in the academy system, and they said being a goalkeeper in the Man City academy is a nightmare because your route to the first team is not going to happen because you're forever going to be on the bench or whatever, not get the game time you want. So you don't want to leave Manchester City to come to Ipswich and not get the game time you want. So I feel like he probably will go on loan. Might even be an argument to sell him, whether or not he's as a young lad playing Scotland under 21s, they see, him for the future. I don't know, but he needs to be playing games. What did he get last season? The League Cup game against Bristol Rovers in August.
Looked good.
That was it.
Looked good in it. No, yeah, look good in it. But yeah, no, he needs to be playing games. I don't think you sell him. I don't think you need to sell a goalkeeper of his age. Now you're a Premier League side. Like not like you need the
season loan somewhere.
Yeah, because you don't need the value. Like previously under previous regimes or in the Championship, you might have viewed somebody as like him. okay, you can get $500,000. Well, that's $500,000 that you can put towards another player and improve your squad now. But now you're Premier League side, you don't need to think like that. You need to you can also think long term and say, don't need to sell him. We can see what he's like in 4 or 5 years' time or 3 years' time.
We're going to come to him in a minute, but Brighton seem to stockpile keepers and send them out on loan. I mean, you saw that Beadle. We talked about the 6-0 Sheffield Wednesday. He's part of their goalkeeping setup. They seem to have 4 or 5 keepers floating around. So I mean, maybe that is the model. But certainly for his own development, he needs to be playing games, not just Carabao Cup games, all Scotland under-21s here and there. He wants to get a 46-game season under his belt, doesn't he? And good luck to him.
Paul P, we paid money for Slicker, but he's obviously one for the future. Loan out, definitely. So yeah, that's I would loan him out. And obviously, Kilmarnock, I think, are playing European football. So that would be my ideal destination for him. Because you've got more games there as well.
They've sent in Derby. Look, let's not, don't go under the radar. The fact that Ipswich sent in Derby to Kilmarnock, and maybe they like the setup there, so he could end up going there as well. Little sort of relationship between the clubs. I know they're going to get looked after with the current managerial coaching setup. Yeah.
Archie said, I wouldn't mind if we did what Brighton did, and that's secure ourselves financially and build a decent championship squad, then spend millions to take a big risk. Yeah, I'm with you, Archie. I think that's probably my philosophy. I think I said in the chat last week while I was watching from the hospital car park. That was kind of my philosophy. Transfer links then, moving on. We'll start with Brandon Williams, been here previously, released by Man United. I've seen on social media, I've not been on a tremendous amount this week, but I've seen various people saying they would welcome him back. They'd want him back. That's a player they'd go for. Where are you sort of, very quickly, because it's a player we've already covered. Where are you on that now he's a free agent?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, look, the thinking is, do they feel like he can be a part? You'd only sign him if you think he's going to be integral to our Premier League setup. And they obviously liked him enough to play top-end championship football, that we know there's been issues that with him. But look, I think he did something like 50, 60 appearances in the Premier League for Manchester United. I mean, they don't just hand that out to anybody, do they? And he did about 30 appearances in the Premier League, I think, for Norwich when he was there. Correct. So almost 100 Premier League appearances. I mean, that's great experience for someone who's only 23. So, talent-wise, I probably would take him to part of the squad. Yeah, I think I probably would. Because he could play right back or left back. And we need a backup to Leif Davis. He's out of contract. The players like it. Well, he knows the players. He seems to be integrated into this group, and we know how there's kind of like, you don't want any bad eggs coming into that group, right? To be excellent, to have success, you need to have the right characters in there. And McKenna obviously thought enough of him to bring him in the first place. So yeah, most probably. Watch this space, I think. He certainly brings the experience. He certainly brings the talent level. And, he's played Premier League football. He's played European football. And McKenna obviously likes him enough to bring him into the fold in the Championship. And, I'm only a few months removed to see whether he plays Premier League for us. If
any concerns with how it ended in the sense, obviously...
Well, yes, that is the big issue, isn't it? I don't want to get into that particularly. I don't want to be discussing people's personal lives on here and the issues they're having to face and everything and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I think that would be a contributory factor. They'd have to weigh it up, I suppose. But who knows?
I'd go for it, by the way. I'd go for it. I keep swinging. I keep swinging from the yes to the no to the yes.
Yeah.
But I think talent-wise, it's there. I think he's a young player. He's a free agent.
Don't disagree.
If things all go as you hope and pray they do, it's a young player whose value is only going to get better. Whose ability is only going to get better. Fits the player trading model.
Yeah, 23.
Fits the player trading model in the sense of what you're bringing in for a free and what you could move him on for in 3 or 4 years' time. And yes, that model is going to start to evolve as you hope the football club becomes a Premier League team and beyond. But until you're a settled Premier League side, you're always going to be a side that looks to bring in players that you can develop and sell, because that's look at Southampton several years ago. I know in the end they got relegated, but that's what you do. It's kind of how you survive and keep yourself going in terms of the Premier League circles. I'd go for it. I'd well and truly would go for it. Why not?
Certainly on paper, he's got all the attributes that you'd probably be looking at, and like you say, 23 years old, fits the player trading model. Yeah, absolutely. It's just whether or not some of that other baggage could be a contributory factor, but we'll leave that to McKenna and Ashton to.
Well, exactly. And look, one of my favourite players growing up was Tony Adams, who himself, great player on the field, had some off-field demons. You overcome them and become the player that I grew up absolutely idolizing, and other players have done the same. So just because he's had some off-field stuff that's gone wrong for him in his life doesn't mean that's any reason to not look at the player and think it's a good opportunity to
absolutely.
to give him a chance.
Fresh, move to a different location, a fresh start, a chance for a clean slate, all the cliches, etc., etc. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Other players mentioned today. 3 players, and of course the media mogul knows them all so well. So first of all, who's player number 1 today? It's just like blind date.
You used to watch that.
Player number 1.
Silla.
Yeah, of course I did.
Silly
Lovely Silla.
Who took over from
Silla?
Who took over? Was it Paul O'Grady? Did he take over?
Paul O'Grady. Yeah, love Paul O'Grady as well. I used to love
your knowledge of people that host quiz shows is second to none, I feel.
Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. It's like a hidden talent of mine. It stems from being homeschooled, where the teacher was the TV. And you just watch TV all day, 24/7. Okay, so player number 1, please. Where's he from, and what do you think of him?
Might as well start with player number 1. Might as well, who wears the number 1 shirt? The goalkeeper. So we've been linked to Carl Rushworth today from Brighton. This was mentioned last week, I think, as well. So everyone will remember him from being on loan at Swansea last season in the Championship. I think he played every single game, 46 games. I think something like 10 clean sheets, Martin. I think he won Player of the Year at Swansea, Fans Player of the Year, or Player of the Year. And coming out of this model at Brighton, where we're saying they're obviously stockpiling keepers. So Rushworth was sent on loan to Swansea. Beadle went on loan to Sheffield Wednesday, and then they've obviously got their 2 free Premier League keepers that they keep around the place. So maybe that's the model Ipswich will look to utilise in the future. But yeah, he's 22. I think he's played in every single division other than the Premier Leagues. I think he's played at Walsall in League 2. I think he's played at Lincoln. I think he plays in that Lincoln game when they beat us 1-0, mine. Maybe someone could put that in the comments. That rings a bell to me. And ticks all the boxes that you're looking for. Apparently his distribution is very good. He's very good with his feet. So you can see why Ipswich have been linked. I mean, interestingly, they've been linked to Brighton. It looks like this is going to happen now. So when McKenna got linked to Brighton as the new manager, and obviously he stays with us, they've been linked to St. Pauli's manager from Bundesliga 2. They finished as champions in the second tier, going up to the Bundesliga. He's only 31. Hertzeller, I think his name is Fabian Hertzeller, something along those lines. So he's going to be the youngest manager in the Premier League, and it looks like that deal's going to be. That looks like that's going to be done. So 31-year-old going to be managing in the Premier League. So whether or not, Brighton are comfortable, Tony Bloom's comfortable in making those decisions of players in and out, I think they do have a bit of a European model there where, it's the back room actually decide the ins and outs. So maybe not having a manager there won't make any difference particularly. But yeah, a good age again, like we say, 22, youngster, your player trading model, ticking all the boxes that we want in terms of fast distribution from end to end. Looks like a no-brainer. So fingers crossed. What it will cost, absolutely. I don't know. What it will cost, I don't know. But
this is it. We've got Lee says Rushworth or Palmer, Matt. Don't think about it. First answer only. Fire round. Come on, go.
I'm going to go with Rushworth. I think maybe his distribution's better.
All right. Okay. Yeah. And then we've got contestant number 2. Where's contestant number 2 from today, Matthew?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just find this on the old thing. It's just full time here. Lewis O'Brien, 25, Lewis O'Brien. From Nottingham Forest. So we would have seen him right at the tail end of last season. He played in the middle of the park for Middlesbrough in that 1-1 draw at Portman Road. And I would say, looking at his kind of attributes and what he brings to the table, would be probably the competition for Luongo's space in as a defensive midfielder, I think. There was big rumours that he would sign for Blackburn, I think, back in January. But of course, as you kind of alluded to at the top of the show, Martin, Forest have got to start selling some players to meet the financial fair play requirements. And this is one that's come from Alan Nixon from The Sun, who gets a bit of a kind of a mixed reaction on his stuff. But I feel like, he probably gets a lot of his information from, he's probably quite tight with agents. And he has said on his Patreon today that a deal could be done quite quickly. So certainly I think we're in the market for that, aren't we? What is that next wave of players that are going to take over from Luongo and Morsey? And they seem to have identified O'Brien as one. But he'll be one of a number of options, won't he? So I mean, there'll be other ones in the hat as well.
Yeah, whereas I don't know. I've not seen this on the TWTD homepage, so I guess it's hidden within their forum. But Kervan says TWTD dismissed the O'Brien link. Doesn't mean it's not happening, you know. But there's obviously a dismissal there in terms of right now. Don't think it's going to be happening. But a player to mention.
Who knows? I mean, sometimes journalists just get wind of this stuff 2 weeks after it was first discussed, so you don't know. But as we say. Fran Nixon to be talking about it and sticking it behind a paywall suggests to me there's something probably in it or was in it. But he'll be it's not just Lewis O'Brien on the name on the team list for new players. It's going to be a whole raft of names there. So let's wait and see. But he seems to think that could be done quite quickly. But you know.
And lastly, I think this is probably a player that will sign because it's a surname I'm not even going to try until I hear it.
Yeah, Taganga. I think is how you say it. So he was on Taganga, yeah. So he was from Tottenham, was on loan at Millwall last season. I think he had a very good season for them. I think he can play centre half and he can also play right back. So again, kind of mirroring what we've got with Axel Twanzarbi. Yeah, but he's been released by Spurs. I think Millwall were quite desperate for him to go back there, whether or not Neil Harris would want him. Who was the lad that they brought in now? Millwall, was it Edwards? I can't remember his name now. They tried. Me and Rich discussed this on the phone.
Dave Edwards? No,
Rob Edwards was the Luton manager. I can't remember. They brought in the lad from out of the England youth teams, and it didn't quite work out for Joe Edwards. I'm sure there's a Joe in there.
It was certainly, I'll have a look in a second. But I know who you mean. But then if Joe Edwards, it was Joe Edwards. But if you're looking, if the Millwall are looking at him, and that's the sort of club that are after, is he going to be good enough for a Premier League side now? I mean, he says,
yeah, I mean, good point.
On the radar, do you think, or just a link because he's been released by Spurs and McKenna has this once upon a time link with Spurs? Because I feel like as we grow as a football club with McKenna in charge, there's two teams that.
Few and far between now.
Whenever Man United or Tottenham release a player, I always feel like the first logical link, tenuous link as it is Town might be interested.
Yeah, well, certainly we go back to the top when we were discussing Don Ball. Certainly that was the link because if you read, I've got Don Ball's book that he released to raise money for the Sarcoma charity. He actually thanks Kieran McKenna. And then unknown Kieran McKenna when it came out as someone who played a huge part in getting him into professional football. So, I mean, that was probably the link there. But yeah, Jaffet Tagango. So he's 25. Yeah, I don't know. That's that is a good point. You know, is that someone that who could have a Premier League career with us when he's been linked with Millwall? Don't know. Have to wait and see. That's come from the Sunday Mirror, that one. So we'll have to wait and see. But maybe again, someone that they've looked at and think could fit into this team. I mean, do you look at someone like that and think to yourself, is he any better or worse than a Luke Wolfenden?
I don't know much about the players, to be fair. So they're the three players: Rushworth, O'Brien, and
Taganga.
Apologies on the pronunciation. It's going to be. Yeah. I hope we don't sign it just because I'm going to really struggle with it. I mean, I struggle with Joe Smith. So.
Imagine Twanzarbi and Taganga together in the middle. It's going to cause you all sorts of headaches.
It certainly will for me. But yeah, let's know your thoughts live or on catch up. Your thoughts on the three players. Phil says will be a gamble for me. And Stephen Parry says, but are we saying every player needs to be ready now to grow to be a Premier League player? Kim McKenna has improved. And the Shy Shark, we've been linked with a few top end championship players, but survive next season. I really think we need to pick up a spine of players with Premier League experience. Great comment.
I mean, look, that's a good point, actually. Do you feel, I think if you're 25, you should probably be Premier League ready, right? That just seems like we're talking about Brandon Williams at 23, Carl Rushworth at 22. You know, you're giving them opportunities, but I don't know, at 25 going into 26, that seems to be starting to be in that space of you should be Premier League ready. And obviously Spurs,
you're not quite in your prime, though, are you? You're not quite in your prime. 27 to 29 is your prime. No, you're not a million miles off it. I honestly, I can't speak on the player because I don't remember him playing for Millwall. I don't remember him. I don't know anything about him, basically, in the sense of I can't sit here and say whether I think he's Premier League ready or not. He might be. He might not be.
Looks like, certainly, if he's come out of Spurs, Millwall obviously. Millwall finished the season quite strongly in the end, didn't they? A bloody god awful against us in that Joe Edwards reign that came to an end, and we beat him 4-0. But Neil Harris
Did he
turned
play in
around.
that?
And I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think any Millwall player turned up in that without looking it up, of course. Maybe someone could tell us in the comments if he played in that game at the Den. But I don't know. Maybe we want somebody who's just maybe a little bit more seasoned to step into our back line, I think.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'll tell you if he played or not. I've got it here. Here we go. Oh no.
Drum roll, please.
It's all right. They can't display what I'm looking for. It's fine. BBC website says, sorry, we can't display the tab you're looking for.
Feel like Millwall's performance that evening. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But
he's going to be again. Though he'll be one of a number of players, and these discussions might have been a month ago, and only the media are getting wind of it now. You know what I mean?
He didn't play.
That's why they conceded 4.
He did not play.
Got off lightly.
So... yeah. That was the sole reason why they conceded 4. Yeah. All right. Lastly, to round up the show, it's been a great hour. So been a really great show. Loved every single comment. If you're watching on catch up, get the comments in as I say. And don't forget, we are partnered with Stowmarket Osteopaths. I go there myself, and I absolutely love going there. It's a really great product, actually, Osteopath. I don't know if you've ever had it done, Matt, but I really find it worthwhile. Freddie is the governor there. 01449 613. Well, this is it. I go there for my back, my hips, my calves, my migraines. I go there for all sorts, and I find it really useful.
We did a really tough hour at the boxing gym yesterday. I could barely get out of bed this morning. I was like, oh my God, where's Freddie when you need him? Those healing hands.
Well, the thing is, part of my pain management is the pain management department at the hospital want you to have a pain plan and how you're going to manage your plan and how you're going to deal with it. And and Freddie is a big part of my pain management plan, because if I'm ever in trouble, and I'm a bit in trouble today, I'm going to go and see Freddie because he'll sort me out. It does hurt. There is clicks. There are bumps. You do feel really bad in the moment.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I cartwheel out of there, but I certainly limp a bit faster. But phone 01449 613 633. Give Freddie a call. Tell him the governor sent you. Stowmarket Osteopaths. Right. Last question for you to run at the show. I want a quick answer, because it's an answer that really you can't give an in-depth one to, because it's still too early. But there was a question I saw posted by Amy Downs after she watched the Tractor Social on BBC Sounds with our friend Graham Mack and co. And they asked, if you were given 17th right now in the Premier League, would you take it? Yes or no? And why do you say yes or no?
Absolutely, I'll be taking it. Absolutely. I mean, look, we're not going to be finishing top 6. I do feel like at this moment, with the momentum and everything and the McKenna wave and all that kind of thing, we could have a good season. But just to retain that Premier League status as you try and consolidate in the top flight of English football, and to have that money come back in, it's an absolute no-brainer. And then second season, third season, let's start seeing where we can start following in the footsteps of a Brentford, Wolves, a Brighton. But just to stay in that division. That's where the eyeballs are. That's where the money is. We're dining with kings now, Martin. Got to stay at the top table. Got to stay in the
stately home of English football. Exactly. Is back at the top table.
Yeah.
But so Tractor Social, BBC Sounds, produced by BBC Radio Suffolk, I believe. Graham Mack, go and check it out. But that's one of their questions that I saw. Amy Downs, who obviously has been on our platform many times, posted on her social media. It is a good question. And I want to know at home, whether you're on live or on catch up, why you say yes or no. I'm loving the yeses or nos coming in, but why do you say it? What makes you say yes? What makes you say no? Matt gave us a really good roundup of why he would say yes. Phil Blundell would say no. He's got us down for 10th to 14th. Stephen Perry says we won't romp it staying up. We won't romp it. Staying up is key. Yes from AD. Fisherman says no. Don't want the stress of a relegation dogfight. Fisherman, I'm really sorry to break this to you, but in all likelihood, we're in for a relegation dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, what are people saying that they think we wouldn't be? I mean, look, Phil's
Get yourself ready, Mike.
When Phil gave us that great shout out on TalkSport, Carlton Cole did say to him, don't go underestimating the quality of the Premier League. And it's easy for us to do that, I feel, on the back as we go back to back. And certainly we should go in there with optimism and confidence and McKenna and et cetera, et cetera. Look, maybe we'd feel differently once we've signed a few players and we're right on the season starting, right? But again, I could feel differently, but I'm not going to underestimate the Premier League quality. I mean, you know, we're ahead of the curve when it comes to where we want it to be. No one in Game Changer thought we were going to go back to back. Nobody thought that.
No.
But I mean, look,
exactly.
Look, we want to keep it interesting, right? Who wants mid-table obscurity? Let's keep it interesting.
This is it. So, you know, say yes or no. Put where you think Town might finish right now. I think it'd be really interesting to see how you feel on June 9th to how you feel on July 25th. Because I think with the window coming up, how does the windows change how you feel, or does it not move it as such? Is it always going to be 17th? Because that's the most important thing. As Archie says, Premier League stability is important for growing the club and the community. Portman Road has potential to be a world-class stadium, but it needs to have so much investment. Great comment, Archie. Thank you for your comments for the show and everybody else. But let us know how you're feeling in regards to that question right now. We'll obviously unpack it more through the summer, but we're done for another week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. That man there's been Matthew Phillips, clearly idolizing me from afar with the hair. Not that I mind. It's a great hairstyle, Matt. I really appreciate
You've got more products in your hair than mine. I don't really like
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is that Brill cream? Is that a Brill cream thing?
No, it's not Brill cream. Yesterday I got the hair cut. It was hairspray.
Oh, okay. How long does it take for you to do your hair in the mornings? Look at that. It's looking sharp.
How does it take?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, mate, wait. When I get the full microphone set up for the summer, you're going to see that. We're going to see it all.
Oh, is it going to be you're going to have a new tech setup, are you? For the
Yeah. I've got the boom arm here. I had the boom arm for like 3 months. I've got the boom arm. So that's here. Get the mic obviously as well. But I've not had a chance to sit down and actually work out where it's going to go, how it's going to go, and what's going to look like. But
that's what the summer's for.
Yeah, quite. Takes me, I don't know, 5 minutes. 5 minutes just to sort of, when it's wet, style it. Put your t-shirt on so you don't mess it up.
Brush and comb.
Brush it, touch it all up, make sure it's all down in the right places, look at various angles, and then we gel it, look at it again.
No grooming.
And then we go, let's go.
No grooming.
Let's go. And then we see me out in town, you go, Gov, great hairstyle. And I certainly will love you forever.
The Gov. It's the Gov from Talking Sound. Oh, big shout. Nearly forgot. Terry from Witton.
You did.
Who came and sat next to me at the cricket when I was very cold on Friday night. Big fan of Talking Town. Chatted to him for about 20 minutes. He reckoned he'd spent about 15 grand following Ipswich around home and away over the years. So big shout out, Terry. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Well, it's not quite 15 grand, but if you do want to pay $4.99 and support the platform, carry on the chat over on our Discord service. Please do so. Information's in your chat right now. You can cancel at any point. $4.99. Become a YouTube member or go to our Kofi. Once you remember, you get access to the Discord and you can carry the chat on. Norman says Premier League setup, Gov. This is it. You see, you can't go on Sky Sports News, Norman, with a headset like this. I mean, come on, we're not working in the first direct call centre now, are we? Let's do it. Come on,
If you watch the transfer, we're talking about that near 6,000 audience. Mine just coming up here from Fabrizio Romano. I suggested a name called Boya Mayoral as a striker who plays for Getafe, now getting linked to Barcelona. So there you go. I think the Barcelona people must have been watching the show last week. Dipped in for their transfer targets.
Clearly. Yeah, they dipped into the wrong show, probably. They weren't looking for you two, but they found you. There we go. Anyway, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you Tuesday for our birthday show. 4 years old. We'll see you then. Get your questions in.
Bring cake.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I get blue, I can't get enough. Hopeless lover. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Hopeless lover. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I felt went crazy from just the thought of you.